Once again, a lot has happened in DC this week. Week 2 of President Trump's law enforcement surge here in Washington, D.C., and we're starting to get some answers to our questions, so let's break it down. First, how much control does President Trump have over the D.C. police force? Mayor Bowser is pushing back against anyone characterizing this as a takeover of D.C.'s police.
Let me correct you. There is no takeover. What there is a surge in federal law. Let me correct you. There is no takeover. What there is a surge in enforcement.
DC's police chief is still in charge, but the city still is required to assist the Trump administration with their goals, and that includes requiring local police to assist with immigration enforcement. So what are these federal officers actually doing? The most recent arrest numbers we have from the White House are from early this morning. A large portion of those were people who the White House says were in the country illegally, and half of the arrests of undocumented immigrants have been in wards 7 and 8. There have been checkpoints across DC with federal agents checking people's license and registration, and this week ICE agents have joined many of those checkpoints to ask people about their immigration status. Agents have joined many of those checkpoints to ask people about their immigration status. Meanwhile, U.S. Marshals have advertised that they're offering financial incentives in exchange for tips about crime. One thing they're not doing is prosecuting people for carrying rifles and shotguns, which is a crime in D.C. and can still be prosecuted by local authorities, but the Department of Justice announced this week that they will not be charging people for this at the federal level. So the White House says that D.C. is suddenly much safer.
So many phone calls thanking me for what we've done from people that haven't gone to a restaurant literally in 4 years. They said it was just unsafe. So many phone calls.
How true is this? Honestly, it's really too soon to know for sure. It's hard to compare just 2 weeks of data when there are other conflating factors that can't be eliminated. DC's police union, which came out in support of Trump's actions last week, said in a post on X that crime rates have plummeted. We reached out to ask where these numbers are coming from, since they've called into question the city's crime statistics, but they did not respond to our request for comment. But the numbers we do have from the Metropolitan Police Department do show a small dip in daily instances of violent crime, but really no change in nonviolent crimes. But again, it's really too early to know for sure how this compares to earlier this year or previous years. There just isn't enough data yet. So what about the National Guard? Troops from multiple states, all with Republican governors, have been sent into DC. That brings the total number of guardsmen in the city up to about 2,000. Troops from multiple states, all with Republican governors, they're still mostly just patrolling, and just like last week, they've mainly been seen in low crime areas like the National Mall. What is new is that military officials have confirmed that many of them will be carrying weapons. Last week, they said that the guardsmen wouldn't be, but they're still not authorized to make arrests. So how do everyday Washingtonians feel about the law enforcement surge? So the Washington Post conducted the first and only, so far, poll of DC's opinions about Trump's actions. They surveyed 600 residents. Now that's less than ideal for a survey like this, but they got a good representative sample across all wards and demographics, and their results were very strong and very consistent. Washingtonians from across the city all said that they were concerned about crime, but even people in wards with the highest crime rates say that they generally feel safe in their own neighborhoods. Overwhelmingly, Washingtonians disagreed with the law enforcement surge.
After we asked DC residents about what the biggest problem is facing DC right now, 22% say crime or violence. That's about the same as in May. But 24%, a really similar number, said Trump or issues involving Trump and the commandeering of the DC police force. And that's twice as many people as said Trump was the biggest problem facing D.C. in May.
And of course, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters that have made an appearance on the streets of D.C. 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 The streets. So that brings us to what's next. As of right now, Trump only has a couple of weeks before he would need congressional approval to extend the law enforcement surge, but the White House has said that he aims to seek out that approval. And early on Friday, Trump threatened to take complete federal control over DC, but it's not clear how much of a legal pathway there is to doing this. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice has launched an investigation into the accuracy of the DC Police Department's crime statistics. The federal government is also assigning at least 20 Department of Defense attorneys to work as federal prosecutors in the district. This is still a developing situation, but no matter what happens, WTOP will be here with the latest. So stay tuned to 103.5 FM, WTOP.com, and here on our social channels. Thank you for watching.